Hello everybody, it's Derek Freeze, and here's a video in regards to a telephone my uncle had. Now, I have a reasonable bit of information on this telephone, or at least things I kind of guessed. They're probably wrong, and I'm making this video for Jordan Yu because he knows a lot about telephones, and I didn't really feel like writing a 4-paragraph essay in the comment section trying to describe everything about this telephone. I also can't provide a picture, and I also don't really, well, I guess I do know the model number offhand, because these images, when I looked them up online, I believe there was a model number that went alongside them. So anyway, as a kid, my uncle in Michigan, the same one that has the two blue spinners in the garage, and the Harbor Breeze Ultra Coke, had this telephone in the kitchen on the countertop. He had it from pretty much since as long as I could remember until he modernized the house. Pretty much the same time when the Evergo G vents were removed into Harbor Breeze, Cheshire. So this phone was kind of there before then. I think after that he got a VTech cordless phone, which I believe he still has to this day. Now this phone in particular has some nostalgia to me because there were several times when I was over there, and I've actually called my mom on this phone and several other family members. I knew a lot of people called my uncle at the time, so this phone got a lot of use. There was a few other phones in the house, as I believe there was one in the basement, I remember, that was on the wall down there, an old, like, AT&T trim line, I remember when I was a kid. And then in the bedroom, he had one of those Uniden, like 350 megahertz phones, like the ones that are black from like the 90s or something, which I really like those phones. I've always been a fan of Uniden products, but this was the phone that was in the kitchen, and this one was the only phone in the house that had an answering machine. So it was always but the answering machine on this phone sucked. So it was always kind of comical when someone would call in and leave a message. So you would be in the living room and you hear the phone ring, as well as the one phone in the basement, and then the phone in the bedroom. You would hear all of them ring, and then it would get to the part where someone would have an answering machine, and it had like the worst pre-recorded message ever. It was somewhat able to be heard, but the issue was like how the sound quality on it was just deplorable. It was just kind of inaudible in a way. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that left messages on this phone were probably very confused with how bad it sounded. Here's another picture, by the way. And this phone also, he never put in the backup batteries. So whenever they would end the message, you would hear the beep, and you would hear it say low battery. And like if you would go and get into the messages and like listen and play back the messages, you would also hear this phone with its horrible voice. Like I have to say, the voice that the answering machine had on this phone, it was absolutely deplorable. It pretty much just inaudible. It was just so hard to hear. Yeah, but like after like every single time you would do like a command, it would just say low battery. I remember that clearly. And there was that one point in time where someone accidentally unplugged a phone on the countertop, and then when they plugged it back in, it made a loud beep, and then it let out this like death screech in a way where it was like saying something, and I couldn't tell really what it did. And then Yeah, it was just weird. Something else that was notable about this phone was when it would just be sitting there on the counter, waiting for someone to call in, or after you hang it up or something, it would just have this static that would constantly go over the speaker on the phone. Pretty much was, yeah, it was static. It was very weird. I don't really know why this was a thing, but, or if it was interference, or if the phone just got so old that it just got to the point where it malfunctioned. Just kind of an interesting phone, in a way. Yeah, and the handset felt very cheap as well. I would mention that. The screen, I believe, was backlit and it was blue. At one point in time, the backlight stopped working, so it never lit up ever again, which was interesting. And the button on the bottom, this button right here that says speaker, it had a red LED in it that lit up whenever it would ring or whenever you had speakerphone engaged on it. So that was also kind of cool. Nice little feature there. The main thing about this phone was its crazy... The main things I remember about this phone was its crazy answering machine voice. And whatever in the heck it tried to do when you plugged it in. And I will say the noticeable hum on the other end. I mean, not on the end. It's not even a hum anyway. It's static. The static that this thing constantly had when it was just sitting there doing nothing. I apologize, it's very late at night when I'm making this video, but this has been on my mind a lot recently, and hopefully someone can shed some light on this. I believe this phone was made in the mid to late 2000s, and I also believe it's made by a company called Atlinks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's all I really have to say on it. Just worst answering machine, random static, and a death screech. Oh yeah, and it had like the most generic ringtone ever, but to be honest, that the one trimline phone that was in the basement, it chirped real bad, and then the Uniden just had your normal classic 90s Uniden sound to it. So, yeah, kind of cool. So thank you very much for watching. Keep the breeze.